Hey, welcome to the Micheaux Mission, Two Men, One Podcast, every black film ever made. My name is Len, aka the Bat Tribble, and as always, I'm joined by my partner.
Hey, this is Vincent Williams.
Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we are very, very pleased to present to you yet another movie from 1975.
Yes, sir.
This one directed by noted acclaimed photographer and director Gordon Parks Jr.
Yes.
Kevin Hooks, Irene Cara in Aaron Loves Angela. Tonight's stop on the Micheaux Mission brought to you by our very special guest who is now in the green room waiting patiently for me to bring her to the air.
She's back there having some cheese and crackers.
I don't know. I don't believe she's having cheese and crackers. She's
maybe
sitting.
a Slurpee.
No, she doesn't. I
Not
don't.
a Slurpee.
I don't see a Slurpee.
Okay.
She has a glass of what appears to be water.
Okay.
She will correct me and tell me that it is vodka.
Treat the guests right
when she comes on. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for screenwriter Toni Ann Johnson in the building.
Hello.
Hey, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much. Let us know, water or vodka?
It's water. Sorry to disappoint.
Oh no, that's fine.
No.
That's fine. We've both got.
I was about to say we trying to keep it.
Try to stay hydrated here in Philadelphia.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that to you. I wouldn't come on your show tipsy. That would not be professional or kind.
No, that would be Micheaux after dark.
Right. And if there's one thing people say about us, or two things, I guess they say we are professional and we are kind.
Oh, that's good to know. I appreciate that. I wanted to mention that I'm also a writer of fiction. So I was a screenwriter, but right now I'm working on books. So I have a book coming out, which is partly why I wanted to come here, just to be able to let more people know about that.
Okay, excellent.
Oh, great.
Did you not know that? Did your friend Maurice not tell you that?
He did tell me that you were moving into the realm of fictions and novels. But I was going to get it to that in our conversation, but it's all good. We love it. Shout out to everyone in the chat watching us as we are streaming live to YouTube as well as to Facebook. Each and every one of you out there in the chat, hello.
Good evening, one and all.
And to you, Deborah, to you, Toni. Deborah Battle says hello, Len, Vincent, and Toni.
Hi.
So we are looking forward. This is going to be a lot of fun, ladies and gentlemen. So hey, you already told everybody you're moving into the realm of fiction, and you have a book coming out. What is the book that you have coming out?
It's called Light Skin Gone to Waste, and it's a linked short story collection, autobiographical fiction about my family and our experience in a white town in upstate New York during the 1960s and 70s. And the book won the Flannery O'Connor Award last year, and Roxane Gay was the judge, and she's the editor.
Oh, wow. That's fantastic. Oh. Yeah, that's a big fan of Roxane Gay. So
this is what it looks like.
Oh,
okay.
That's you?
That's me when I was 15, or no, actually 14, I think.
Okay, excellent.
That is cool. I'm enjoying it, and you said it's coming now. So we'll,
yeah, it'll be out October 15th. It's available for pre-order though.
Okay. Oh, there you go. Can they go to the website to pre-order?
They can order on Amazon or UGA Press's website or bookshop.org or Barnes and Noble or Thrift Books. There's lots of all the online bookstores should have.
All the online bookstores, ladies and gentlemen. Go check. Hold up the book one more time, Toni. Put it on blast. Light Skin Gone to Waste. Don't waste time. Get Toni's book. That sounds really great. That's cool.
Yeah, excellent. Congratulations too.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What precipitated the move to novelization, or was it just wanting to tell this story?
I was a writer for hire as a screenwriter from 1994 through 2002 or 3. So rather than being able to just write my own work, I was always executing other people's ideas and writing movies for other people. So I was constantly getting notes and being told what to do. And after a while, I just got burnt out, and I felt like I wasn't really writing in my own voice anymore. I was writing to satisfy a producer or studio head. And I was always writing about race and class, and almost invariably my bosses were not people of color. And so I felt a lot of responsibility to get things right and to not be disrespectful to my community. And it just became too much because they didn't care.
Right.
There were some times when that wasn't the case. Like, fortunately, when I did Ruby Bridges, that was with Uzan Palsy, the director, and one of our executives was an African-American woman, a brilliant woman named Leah Keith. And they were on board with what I wanted to do, but almost invariably people weren't. And so if you're working for somebody who's trying to make a project and they don't really recognize the full humanity of the people of color, and they're telling you to have them do things or say things, getting truthful experiences. Like, for example, one of the white producers had a hard time understanding that in New Orleans, there were well-to-do Black people who lived in big houses and, had fabulous lives in a way. They weren't all poor. And I had written a scene that took place in a well-to-do community, the home of a Black doctor, and we couldn't do it because there was only one scene there, and so it just wouldn't work. But it was upsetting to me because New Orleans in particular had those dynamics, had upper middle class and middle class Black families. And because we were showing a family that was from the lower socioeconomic class, and there was a character who was a doctor and who was upper middle class, I really wanted the audience to see how these people lived, that there was a strata of class. And that was difficult, but I still was very happy with how that movie turned out. Of all the films that I had made, that was my favorite. So, but that's why I went back into my own work. I had been a playwright before, and I wanted to write my own stories. I just didn't. I got tired of people telling me what to do.
Right. So let's talk about Ruby Bridges. You mentioned it, so we might as well. How did that come about? You getting involved with that production?
That sounds like a dream project. You working with Usain Palsy.
It was. So I was on the project long before Uzan came on board. The reason I got the movie was because I had written a play called Gramercy Park is Closed to the Public, and that dealt with race and class, and it also dealt with a biracial woman who was then in an interracial relationship and 2 kids, an African-American kid and a mixed race kid. And they liked the voice in that script, in that play. They liked how I was able to execute children and a kid's point of view and kids' voices. And so they felt like it would be a good fit for Ruby Bridges. So I went in and pitched, and I got the job. I'm hearing something in the background. Am I supposed to be hearing that?
Is it music that you're hearing?
No, it sounds like voices, but it's not on my end. Sorry. So I went in and I pitched, and I got the job, and then they sent me on a research trip, and so I compiled all this stuff. I also did research on my own. This was in the 90s, so there was no research online.
That's right. You did hardcore.
Yeah, I was on microfiche and reading books. I read The Second Battle of New Orleans, which is about integration, and I read all these newspapers from the time, the New Orleans Times-Picayune, and I compiled all this stuff, and then I went and I did interviews. So I went and met Robert Coles, I went and met Barbara Henry, and I spent like 2 or 3 days with Ruby Bridges, which was amazing.
Wow.
Really great. And interviewed her, and then I compiled all the interviews, and I think I transcribed them myself, but I'm not sure. I might be lying about that. It was like 20 some years ago, so I mean, it was almost going on 30 years ago, actually. So yeah, I don't remember, but I did do like a lot of research, and then started putting everything together to tell the story. But yeah, it started with my play, with my own work. And the longer I worked as a screenwriter in the business, the farther and farther I got away from my own work. So that's why I'm moving back into it.
Well, that I feel you on that. The shame of it is that is the idea of not being able to like be true to your voice in a work for hire is a frequent lament that you hear from writers. Especially because, like, okay, you recognize that you're a work for hire, but you did hire me, so you
Exactly.
that you still want some aspect of me in what I'm doing here.
I'm telling you, sometimes I would be in these meetings and I would give them my thoughts and my opinion, and I had people say, "Oh, Black people wouldn't do that," and I was just like, "Okay, like, well, why did you hire me? Why am I here? If you don't believe what I'm saying, or if you don't believe my perspective, what's the point?" So anyway, I ended up having to write stuff that in the end sounded like the people I was working for wrote it. It didn't sound like me.
Right.
Ruby Bridges did sound like me because Uzan is wonderful, and Uzan was happy with the voice. I mean, she made the script better. She's really smart, and she gave incredible notes, and it was really hard to work for Uzan because she's a workaholic, and she will work you until you pass out.
Really?
So like hours and hours. But I complained about it, but it was one of the best experiences that I had in my career, was working with her. She's an artist. She's not doing this like just for commerce. I mean, I know she needs to make a living too, but Uzan is really an artist, and she went through that script like line by line. Obviously, English isn't her first language. So, but she's like correcting my spelling and asking questions on everything, and it was humbling. But she's a brilliant genius, and I was very, very fortunate and thrilled and happy to work with her. I'm not sure if I would do it again, because she'd probably kill me, because she has unbelievable energy. She doesn't sleep, and she wouldn't let me leave. So I would say, Uzan, like, I've been here 8 hours. I have to go home. I'm hungry. And she's like, sit, I'll feed you. And I couldn't leave. But she's great. She's really great, and works really hard.
Well, the sacrifices you make for great art.
Yeah.
Very true. Very true. Yeah. Well, thank you for taking the time to join us tonight. We're going to hopefully have a big fun tonight.
Right, because you said something that I'm going to circle back around to when we get to the movie.
Okay, what was that?
I won't tell you. It's a surprise.
Okay.
Uh-oh. Stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. Ooh, inquiry minds want to know. But before we get there, and we told everybody we're going to be reviewing Aaron Loves Angela. This was a film that Tony selected for tonight's review on the Micheaux Mission. And I'm actually really interested in her viewpoints on the film. Yours too, Vince. You being a connoisseur of all these 70s movies.
And I'm interested in yours.
I'm interested in yours too. I watched it now 4 times. And every time I watched it, I've had a slightly different experience. So the first time I watched it, I loved it. I was just thrilled. to see Irene Cara. I thought about myself as a kid if I had had the opportunity to watch it, which I didn't. I didn't see it until I was an adult, but I don't remember ever seeing anything like that when I was a kid. Like, to see kids who looked something like me on screen, just the representation was amazing. And I think I kind of ignored some of the blaxploitation parts, and I focused more on the romance, and I just loved seeing Irene Cara. I think that she was so beautiful, and I would have been over the moon to see that if I had been like, she's not that much older than me, but I was a little bit younger, and I was craving to see somebody that I could want to be on the screen. I rarely saw anybody like me on the screen, and so I just was like girl crushing on her, and I thought she was great. I went and looked at a lot of comments and what people said, and I saw people criticize her performance, but I thought her performance was better than a lot of the performances in the film. I thought she was lovely.
You said you didn't see it as a kid the first time you saw it as an adult. You mind telling us, like, how old were you? What year was that? What year was that when you saw it?
It wasn't that long ago. It was before the pandemic.
Okay.
Maybe only a few years. And I saw it because, are you familiar with Janine Coveney?
The name sounds familiar to me.
He's a journalist. We met in getting our master's degrees in fiction. She went into, maybe she might be creative nonfiction, but she has a Facebook group that is dedicated to movies, and she posted it on there. And I had never seen it, and I found it. I don't remember if I saw it on Amazon. That's where I've rewatched it, on Amazon. I don't remember where I saw it. It might have been on Amazon Prime, but that was the first time I watched it. And then I remember just like chatting with other people about it in that chat, but I don't remember specifically what everybody said, but I know that I really enjoyed it. And then when I watched it again, I watched it more from the point of view of just like the craft of filmmaking, and I saw a lot of its flaws. I think it's a very uneven film. I think there's a lot of things that could have been better, but I still love the film. I'm still so glad that it's made and that it was made, and I loved being in the 70s, just the nostalgia. One of the things I appreciated so much about it was how obvious it was that the director just loved these young people of color. And he chose to shoot them in such a way that was warm and celebrated their humanity. And we get to see them just be kids. We got to see them play on the carousel. We get to see them play Frisbee in the park. And there's a lot of things a lot of movies that I've watched over the years that have people of color in it, when it's not made by people of color, sometimes I feel like the filmmakers don't really get the full humanity of people of color. And I felt like Gordon Parks Jr. loved his people, and I appreciated that. But then there's scenes later where I felt like, oh my God, where am I watching this Black man being beat bloody? Like when the friend Willie is attacked at the end, I was like, really, is this necessary? That felt gratuitous to me. And the scene where Duke has to run for his life, and I just
okay. You're gonna jump into the review. Let's. As
you can see, Toni is passionate.
That was painful for me to watch, so for me it felt like two different films in a way, like two different approaches, and there are absolutely two threads. There's the blaxploitation thread and the pimp and the drug deal stuff, and then there's the romance. So there are two different threads, but I don't want to criticize the film because I admire the film. I admire Gordon Parks Jr. I went back and rewatched Superfly, which I thought was more well made than Aaron Loves Angela. I thought Superfly was great. But I wish that there had been a little bit more balance, and so that it wasn't so uneven. Like some scenes were done with such care, I felt, and some scenes were a little some scenes were clunky.
Yeah.
Not, just not that well done.
Right.
But I would never say that, this was a waste or we shouldn't make this film. I've seen comments like that, and I don't agree with that. I think there's a lot of beauty in the film.
And we're gonna talk all about it when we get into the review. But first, we're gonna take care of a little bit of business.
I've been giving my review. So
okay. I know, which is cool. I love it. But we Vince is a stickler for structure, so we're going to stick to the structure and the format of the show a little bit.
That's what people say. They say I'm so organized.
Yes,
and structured.
But speaking of Aaron, and speaking of Aaron's, we have frequent and longtime fan of the show, Aaron Fry, in the chat saying, "Wait a minute, there's a Norman Rockwell poster of Ruby Bridges over her right shoulder. Good placement."
Oh, well, this is my office, and I wrote that movie, so that's why it's there.
There you go.
There you go.
That's right.
I'm not trying to promote this movie because that was like 1998. So, yes, and Ruby Bridges actually signed it.
Wow.
Really? Cool.
Now that's fantastic.
Yeah.
See, so nobody else has that. And Damon Williams.
Hey, it's my brother.
Your brother. Finally, someone else who sees the greatness in Superfly. Take that, Len.
I love Superfly.
And Tony, everyone loves Superfly except Len. It's okay.
But you don't? Who doesn't? Okay. I thought Ron O'Neal was really good in the movie.
Tony, we all thought Ron O'Neal was really good in Superfly.
Look, I love this. I think it's one of the greatest soundtracks of all time. I just am not 100% a fan of the film. Okay.
I mean, I could see that. Is it just because of the blaxploitation element, or did you just think it was bad, irrespective of the genre? You just
okay. I have to question whether or not it is a better made film than Aaron Loves Angela.
That's interesting.
Aaron Loves Angela had scenes that just made blocking that made no sense.
Well, that's true. There's a lot of, but I think, okay. All right. Well, we're here.
We are.
I could be wrong because I only went back and rewatched Superfly one time. And the first time I saw it, I don't even remember when that was. Yeah, so I could be wrong. I watched it in preparation for this because I wanted to at least see some of Gordon Parks Jr.'s
other work.
When you
course.
contacted me about this, I didn't know the difference between Gordon Parks and Gordon Parks Jr. And I watched something and I was like, Gordon Parks did this? And I was horrified and I was like, oh no. And then I realized, oh, okay, that's his son. And so then I, went down the rabbit hole of research and I tried to watch 3 the hard way. I couldn't get through it.
Well,
but I enjoyed Superfly. I think I thought Ron O'Neal was fine.
I mean, yes. Wait a minute. Are you saying fine as an actor, or you thought he was fine?
I thought he was fine.
Okay.
I mean, that's fair though. I think we've talked about this. 90% of the appeal of many of these blaxploitation films is the personality.
Yes.
In the presence in the middle of the film.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
can we talk about him, Ron O'Neal's version of a pimp, and Robert Hooke's version of a pimp? Because Ron O'Neal was a better pimp. Ron O'Neal was a better, well, not pimp, but whatever he was.
Well, I think Robert Hooke's pimp was trying to diversify.
Yeah.
So he was a pimp. He was a drug dealer. He was a strangely like abusive and a bully at the restaurant.
Yeah.
About Moses Gunn's career.
But strangely a bit of a vigilante.
He's a vigilante. He's beating up Puerto Rican roughs.
I didn't think that was a good part for Robert Hooks. I've been aware of Robert Hooks like for years and years. He was in the theater. I worked at the Negro Ensemble Company, and I know he was one of the founders. I have the utmost respect for Robert Hooks, but I don't think he was right for that role. And I don't think I just didn't believe him. I felt like he put on this costume and he was just playing a pimp, but it also felt like his attention might have been scattered because his son was in the movie and he might have felt other responsibilities in addition to his role. And I didn't feel like he did anything interesting with the role. Like he was just kind of one note and he said the lines fine. I mean, it was adequate, but he's an artist. And I didn't feel like he brought his artistry to that part.
Right. I actually didn't get the sense that the script knew what they wanted his character to be.
But then the actor has to make a choice and have something going on underneath what's on the page, have something going on underneath the text, something interesting, something that makes us lean in and say, oh, what's up? What's going on there? What's with that? And there was none. It was kind of, it just was what it was. I just felt like he didn't bring any more to it. Whereas Moses Gunn.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, well.
I mean
he's a virtuoso. He was incredible.
Yeah.
Well, with all due respect to Robert Hooks, he's no Moses Gunn.
Yeah.
He is a good actor. I mean, he's a serious actor who's an artist who's been doing it since he was a kid, and he's a better actor than he was in that movie. I wish like I could hear interviews or something to know what was going on with him. Like, was he trying to help Gordon Parks? It just felt like he wasn't fully in it. He was playing it, but he wasn't, he hadn't settled into a choice for the character. It was kind of one note, and it was like the costume and the carriage, but I didn't feel any depth.
Yeah.
The character.
To Vincent's point and a little bit to yours, as far as the script not knowing what it wanted him to be and him therefore not making the choice. I thought that, and this also may run the juxtaposition because he is acting against his son, Kevin Hooks, in the lead role. In that his role is, like you said, Vince, he's a drug dealer and he's maybe a pimp. You don't 100% know because it's not like he has a stable of women.
Right.
You're only know of. Right, that we know of.
Right, we don't see them.
We're only really seeing
Cleo.
The one woman who he seems to have. Yeah, there definitely is a transactional relationship between them, but there also seems to be a bit of a romantic relationship between them as well. Yeah. So.
And kind of the same idea in Superfly, like I'm going to make all this money and then we're going to get out and we're going to leave or travel. Right. It's the same story, kind of.
It's definitely the same story, and the difference here with Robert Hooks is he's not the lead. It's not all about him. Right. And then also, how much do you lean on being like, this cold stone pimp in this movie that you're acting against your son? Do you also still try to, skirt the line between like, I don't want to be a pimp, but I still want to be a good guy because I come to my son's rescue as well.
Right.
So I agree that he definitely could have made a choice. But I also want to argue maybe a little bit on his side that maybe he did make a choice, and yet the script doesn't know which way he wants to go.
I think it's the director. I think that I think Gordon Parks is a decent director, but not that great with actors. I think
yes. There it is.
He was lucky to work with Moses Gunn because Moses Gunn was not going to be bad, and no matter what.
Right.
But there were other actors who were horrible, and he could have made those performances a little smoother. He could, if he knew how. He might. I think he came from a photography background. He was really good with, setting up the shots. He picked amazing locations.
Yes.
Looked pretty good, but I don't think he had the skill or knowledge to like really get in there with an actor and say, okay, what are you thinking here? What if we tried this? Like, I don't think he knew how to do that. And I think when the scenes where the acting was really good, I am going to guess that was because those were really good actors, not because they were so well directed.
Yeah.
And there was one part in the masterful scene with Moses Gunn where he was drunk, and there was a moment missed that I longed for, and it was he's railing at his son, and he's yelling at him and saying hurtful things, and then he turns away and he never looks back at Aaron to see Aaron's reaction. And I felt like that reaction could have motivated the next beat, which was, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. And I was like, I felt cheated. I felt like that could have been a brilliant beat between two good actors.
Yes.
And it was missed because it was poorly blocked.
Because it was poorly blocked, again, which has been a constant or a consistent critique of Gordon Parks when we've covered his work. Gordon Parks Jr. And it's also something that a stronger director, if you do have the opportunity to look at dailies, which, to be fair, this type of filmmaking back in this time, they didn't always have that time to do these type of things.
It felt like it might have been really like, few takes and rush. It
exactly.
Felt like there was pressure.
Right.
It was indie and not a lot of money. I felt like Superfly seemed like they had more money and more time to get things right. But I know you disagree, but that's what it looked like to me.
But that's fine.
Well, I think to your point about Superfly, and then we'll talk about the movie we're here for. I think the Curtis Mayfield puts this sheen over it that you kind of grant it. Because of just everything that does with this. I think
you don't think Jose Feliciano does the same for it.
I love Jose Feliciano.
Amazing. I loved it. As soon as the soundtrack started, I was standing up watching the movie and I was dancing. Jose Feliciano is like a god.
He is.
He's just amazing. It was so great to see him, and I felt like he did give the film, maybe not what Curtis Mayfield did, but he gave it his own thing, and it was lovely.
He definitely gives it a taste of authenticity.
And it stands out from other films where, it's like they kind of live in the base, in the bottom, where everybody is out funking each other. Yeah. So it's a whole it's a whole different flavor. He
has his own thing, and it brings back. So the first time I would have heard him would have been in the 70s when I was a kid. And it just brings me back there. There's something like interesting, but also earnest, and just it's nostalgia, I guess. I just love hearing his voice. And he used to be on variety shows when I was a kid. I see him when I was a kid. So I just love seeing him and seeing him young too. Like, so when I was watching him, I thought he was not an old man, but a grown man. And now in this movie, he's younger than me. So that's kind of weird seeing that too.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Vince.
No, I think it comes back to what we've been saying. Gordon Parks Jr. is a photographer. And I think the parts of this film where that eye can express itself are the stronger parts, whether it's those wonderful montages with the music. And, you talked about when they're when they break into the amusement park or, on Coney Island or they're running around with the frisbee,
in Central Park.
And there is a warmth, and there is this wonderful sense of capturing their full humanity and their youth. It's something you said about how you wrote for children's voices, like you captured a child's voice. And I thought maybe that's what drew you to this, because I love the kids. I love the youth of these kids. And Irene Cara and Kevin Hooks, you just want to look at them.
Exactly.
Like you just want to look at them and see them talk to each other. And I don't think either one of them is necessarily the strongest actor, the way we judge acting.
Right. They were children though. Like
they're children,
they were starting out their careers.
Right.
But I saw people say really unkind things about Irene Cara's performance, and I don't agree with that. I didn't think she was terrible. I thought she was lovely. She was. I enjoyed watching her. I didn't feel like I thought she was better than some of the like henchmen guys and like.
Oh, well, please.
I mean, she was good. She was good enough for me, for my like teen, you know, I'm thinking like I'm watching the movie almost like with the heart of a teenager or like a preteen even. And I'm like, wow, like it's just amazing to see her. She's gorgeous. She's like flawlessly, spectacularly beautiful on screen. The camera loves her. And I appreciate that. I appreciate being able to look at her. And I appreciated looking at Kevin Hooks too. He had his moments. Like he was stronger in some scenes than others, and he felt a little hesitant, tentative, you know, in what he was doing. But when they were just on screen together, and he was, you know, trying to be sweet to her, it was really nice, and it was something I wish I had more opportunity to see when I was younger, because I just didn't have that. That representation wasn't there.
And I liked Aaron and Willie. Like I liked them just sort of goofing around.
Yeah.
Like they really were like two dumb teenage boys.
Well, they were definitely.
They were fun.
Yeah.
I did not like when Willie said, "Did she fight?" Like that took me out. I was like, "Wait, what? Did she fight? Like, are you asking? Did he rape her?" Like that was just that line. I wish they had cut that.
I do too. There definitely is some lines that, you know, you're like, ugh, they're a little icky. What's happening here?
Sounds a little rapey at parts.
Yeah. Yeah. The whole taking them back into this dungeon of an apartment.
Look, and how old are these children exactly?
Well, that's the other.
There's that.
17, I think. 17 at most, right?
I'm figuring 17 because like Aaron is on the cusp of going to college.
Right, but I think they actually say in the script that Angela's 15.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, well, actually they say 14, 15. I don't know if they ever land.
Oh, I thought Harriet was 14.
Henrietta.
Henrietta was 14.
You're right. Henrietta was 14.
You're right. Yeah, they did say 15.
They did say 15.
Yeah, that is the age that girls I knew, you know, lost their virginity at 15. So.
And it was wild in 1975.
I guess I don't know. I didn't have any wildness in my life in 1975. But the other thing is, I do have family from the Bronx and from Harlem, and I don't remember there being so much hostility between Puerto Ricans and Black people. Like we couldn't tell the difference between who was who. Like because some people had a Black dad and a Puerto Rican mom, or the opposite, and like, I'm not Puerto Rican, but people thought I was Puerto Rican. So my first boyfriend was Puerto Rican, and he didn't have a problem with it. His parents didn't have a problem with it. His auntie did, his titi did. But as soon as I just tried to speak a little Spanish, she was cool. Like it wasn't so dramatic that I experienced. Maybe it was, but also my grandfather has Puerto Rican children. So, and it was just much in Harlem, in the Harlem that I know, it was more of an easy mixture. Everybody hung out together, in my experience. Now, there might have been neighborhoods where it was that dramatic and Puerto Ricans and Black people hated each other, but I never saw that.
Well, I'm certain that, you know, if you did like a whole census of people that were around at that time, you're going to find some who, you know, like the scale's going to like go left or right, depending on who you speak with. Right. So, and it's not, I'm fine if Gordon Parks Jr. decides to kind of like play it up maybe a little bit more for the film.
I'm just saying that it didn't ring true to me, but maybe it is. But I just have so many friends who are Puerto Rican and Black from Harlem and the Bronx, and everybody was together. And like, the Black people in my family look Puerto Rican. And,
yeah.
like it was very hard to tell who was who.
Right.
In my experience, we hung out together and it was okay. And my boy, like I was confused by my boyfriend. We started dating at 17. He was Puerto Rican, but he looked Black. And I would say, "You're Black." And he's like, "No, I'm Puerto Rican." And I'm like, "Okay, but you're a Black Puerto Rican." But he's like, "No,
Right.
I'm Puerto Rican." Like, so he was very clear that he was not an African American. We didn't use that term then, but he was clear that he was not that. But they are Black. Like Black people went to Puerto Rico. So I don't know. To me, it's as confusing as like the Scottish and the English, or the Scottish and the Irish.
Scottish and Irish, yeah.
Like the Catholics and the Protestants, like they all look the same to me. So it's confusing to me. But
I think the other problem is that I don't think the film, and again, this is probably a fault of the script and Gordon Parks Jr.'s direction. I don't think the film really distinguishes what is the issue outside of because it honestly could have just simply have been just kids being kids. But I don't think it hits it on the head with that, because when Aaron walks Angela home, it's not kids that chase him, it's the adults that chase him. So now you really don't know what is happening, and they seem to just be chasing him because he's on the street. He didn't do anything. They
saw him with her though. He walked her home, so he didn't do anything, but they saw him.
You're right, they saw him, but the thing is, because they're adults, you're wondering, okay, then what's their beef? Kids being kids is kids being kids for whatever. Adults,
his line, like I just rewatched it, and one of the lines is, we don't want you messing with our women.
Right.
That when they're beating them up.
Right. But the film doesn't spend a lot of. It's almost like the film doesn't want to deal with it that much.
Right.
You get a little bit with her mother, where she says that he's her boyfriend's name.
Right.
That apparently is acceptable.
That's the other thing I didn't like. Sorry to cut you off. The other thing that I didn't like is that outside of the boys at the playground, earlier in the film, that walk with Angela and then later get into like a little bit of a skirmish, and her girlfriend who is there but you don't really hear from.
But when you do, she pops on screen. Like she's really good. I thought like
she is.
You don't hear from her enough, but
you don't hear her enough. But you're right, when she does say something, she does. But I didn't like that Angela's family, especially her mom, is just a disembodied voice in the movie.
Yeah, that's true.
I didn't like that. And for those who had a problem with Irene Cara's performance, I didn't have a problem necessarily with Irene Cara's performance. What I had a problem with was Angela's choices in the movie. I didn't think that Angela made smart choices, and to me, that is indicative of a film that doesn't 100% seem like it's interested in telling a balanced story of the two names in the title, Aaron and Angela. It seems it is 100%. It's like 70, maybe even 80% Aaron's story. And Angela is just the fulcrum.
That seems indicative of the sexism and patriarchy of the time. Like it wasn't about what Angela wanted. It was like Aaron was kind of driving the story, and Angela gives in very easily. Like she has that scene and she runs away, but then the next minute, like she's back and she's like, she's offered, like she's afraid not to. And that was a little bit sad, but I went with it. I didn't get like caught up in it, but I was thinking, man, if a woman had written this, I think it would have been a little bit different.
Well, just to that scene, the part, like I didn't like her like immediately showing back up the next day. I did not like that.
He should have had to work a little harder.
Right. But again, speaking to poor blocking and direction, the other part about that scene I didn't like is that she appears in the door. you see her like lean into the door, and she's not like just creaking open the door. She is standing in the door. She is in the room.
Right.
And then it cuts back to Aaron and Willie, and Aaron and Willie are still engaged in their conversation, talking about probably bringing another woman, another girl to the room. And is only out loud, they're not whispering.
No.
And it is at that point that Willie sees her, and she then gives in to Aaron. So the film shows that there's no way she didn't hear that, right?
Yeah,
and yet she still makes that decision. And that's why I was like, yo, that's not.
I mean, to your credit, you're a male who doesn't have a problem with that, but it feels like a generational male thing where they can't really conceive of the woman's inner thoughts and motivations. It's
right.
like, this has to work for the film. You know, we need Angela to show up here, so let's just put her there. And that sort of happens a few times, like. So in that one scene when she comes and she leaves and she's mad, why on earth does she run up to the roof? Why doesn't she leave?
I was wondering, why are you running upstairs?
Exactly. Yeah. I was like, and it's because they wanted that location.
Yes.
Right. Does it look good? But it made no sense. Like, I'm like, what the hell is she doing? She runs up there and she's like looking off the roof. Like, you're gonna like that. I was like,
that's very true. It is almost as if we've rented the roof.
Right.
We've got the lights.
Well,
I was like, this is a location choice because it makes no sense from a character point of view. She's upset and she wants to get away. You would run out of the building.
Right.
Yes.
The way you came.
Yes.
Yes.
She
she didn't know what was up there. She was scared
exactly.
to enter the building.
Yes.
And so why is she going to run up somewhere where she doesn't know what's up there? That made no sense. So yeah, that's part of what I felt, you know, the clunkiness and the unevenness of there's choices like that really made me a little bit crazy, but I still have affection for this film, like despite its flaws.
Sure.
I'm glad that it was made. I just have like a tenderness for it because of those kids.
And I just wanted to make sure to underline this: Parks as a photographer with a photographer's eye. I love depictions of pre-gentrified New York.
Yeah, especially Harlem.
New York as beautiful.
Yeah.
Because I loved Harlem. I loved the park. I loved Coney Island. Like, I just loved how real it felt. And that's a testament to his eye.
Yeah. And I felt that the kids going to the Museum of Modern Art was really something too. And that felt very much, I don't know, but it felt like something the director would have wanted because he had an arts background. He was educated and he was sophisticated in art and photography. And I appreciated that scene. I appreciated like seeing the kids just like look at artwork and think about it, and her trying to introduce him, expose him to work that she'd been exposed to. That too, to me, spoke to their humanity, that this girl had an intellect. She had aspirations. She had, things that she wanted to do with her life. And she was willing to think. It wasn't like all she wanted to do was give herself to Aaron. She did want to express herself and live her life in a way that was fulfilling to her. So I appreciated that.
Yeah, she had everything. She just didn't have a sense of direction. But that's what we've figured out.
I almost wonder because the whole Robert Hooks plot with the drugs and
made no sense.
It makes no sense, and it's way underbaked.
Oh.
And God. I almost wonder if in 1975, as we're coming to the end of the blaxploitation period, I wonder if he almost had to have this aspect in the film.
Oh, he does.
Probably like 100%. Financed, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
like you got to have a pimp. You got to have something with some action.
Yeah, because it's 1975, like you said, it's coming towards the end of the blaxploitation era, but the blaxploitation era is still very much in vogue, just by virtue of the films that we've covered already in 75.
Right.
So yeah, I can definitely see that he's got to have it in there.
And coming from the, like, having worked in the film business, that's absolutely true. Like, there are marketing things that have to be in place in order for you to get the money for a film. And also, like, if there's a perspective that's coming from, how are we going to sell this? How are we going to make the most money? White people in power aren't typically, going to allow, like, just a love story, just a, sweet story about, like, these sweet kids. Like, they would insist that there be this other element that we can market, that we can sell, thinking that that's all the community wants. I'm sad to say, but that's my experience. It's like, make it urban, and it is urban. They're already in the city, but it would have been too soft for some places. Although this is an indie film, right?
Yeah.
Indie.
Yeah.
But even so, like, whoever put up the money.
Yeah, because it's not really. It's distributed by Columbia, so it is not an independent production per se, but it definitely is of the lower budget.
All right. Well, if it's Columbia, then that's, if that's a studio picture, then they want to make their money back, and so
absolutely
they don't probably. It had to fit into a box of, like,
that's
this is where it goes. And so they had to have that element, which I'm okay with that. I forgave that part of it, because I know that, you kind of have to do what you have to do just to get your work done. And so if they require a pimp, you give them a pimp. Like, if you're trying to make a film, you're trying to get the money.
You're absolutely right. The problem is, it's like, to Vince's point, the story makes absolutely no sense. Like, there's, like, he first of all, 5 keys of cocaine is what he's promising people, and he's coming up with these bags which like, I can hear how empty they are when they picking them up.
Right.
Like, what are we doing here?
Like flour. It was like flour or something.
Yeah.
I said, "Who do you think I am, Betty Crocker?"
And what's the next step after you kill the 2 presumably mafia members?
Right, and presumably just, like, the low totem pole guys.
Right.
So, like, what are we thinking here? And
I thought what he wanted to do was then get out. Like, he would have his money and
then just vanish.
Yeah, he wanted to get out of the U.S.
Which is true. But then when you get the money, you don't tiptoe out the joint, because then he's tucking in his shirt after he's walking out. That's why dude caught him with 2 in the back. Because he's busy, like, like, easing on down the road.
Also, I thought they frisked him.
No, yes, they did frisk him, but he had the gun there. Because when you see them looking at the keys, or the
No, I thought he frisked the 2 mobsters.
He did, outside.
So then when the mobster pulls the gun out in the room, I said, was that a secret gun?
Oh, that's right, because he threw away the gun.
Right. And I thought he patted down, and I know I'm going into the weeds now, but I thought they patted down both of them.
Yeah, see, no, they patted him down, but his gun was hidden in the room.
No, I know Robert Hooks' gun. I'm talking about but you're right. I shot Robert Hooks.
Right.
Where did he get his gun from? Because I thought they took the guns from the mobsters.
Did Robert Hooks, after shooting them, drop
the gun,
and then maybe he'd pick it up? Because
that I have to roll it back and watch that scene again. But I think maybe that was a liberty they took, just because they had to shoot him because he had to die.
Right. And give the money to Aaron.
Yeah.
And then Aaron's walking around with the money.
Right.
I know, like that was one of my. I was watching that. I was like, why would you go outside carrying a brief? You look like, first of all, you're a child walking around with a briefcase like you're going to work. But then everybody knows that it was in a briefcase. Everyone
You know what?
knew that the money was in a briefcase.
You don't remember those weird kids in high school that had briefcases?
No.
You never had a weird kid in high school with a briefcase?
I do, but if I stole that money from drug dealers and they knew it was in a briefcase and everybody else knew it was, his dad knew it was in a briefcase.
I was about to say it's in the script. Everyone is looking for the briefcase.
Yeah, they're not even looking for the money. They're looking for the briefcase.
Put it in a different bag, like make it look like a gym bag, like you're going to play basketball or something, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, there were a lot of mistakes and flaws, but I can't be too harsh on it because I really love it. I just have a soft spot for it. It's just like the love story I never got to see as a kid.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I know. I recognize the filmmaking flaws, certainly.
Tony, it's we call it the Jaws principle. I won't tell you the whole story, but about Jaws ends in a way that it shouldn't end. And Steven Spielberg had some experts in for the test viewing, and he was concerned that they would call him on that. Mm-hmm. But they were so happy with the movie that they ignored it. Mm-hmm. So it's the Jaws principle. No. If you like something, you don't think about the fact that oxygen tanks don't explode like that.
Yeah. I mean, I did have one viewing where I was just like, everything was annoying to me. Like, I was just like, why would they do that? Like, so when she's on the carousel and they're riding and she says, I'll race you. And I'm like, why? And it was because he wanted them to move off the carousel. But it was like, you want to race? Not like, there was just so many things that just ruined like what, was kind of going along well. So that was unfortunate, but I do like if I had kids, which I don't, but if I had kids, like I would want them to see it because I would want them to see like New York from that time. I would want them to
absolutely
see young actors. So that I do feel like as it has its place in film history. Is it an excellent movie? No, I don't think it's an excellent movie, but does it have some value? Absolutely, in my opinion, it does have some value. It has some problems, but I also appreciate Gordon Parks Jr. as an artist, and I wish if he hadn't died, that he might have gotten better and better because he was good with setting up shots and with the photography, like the stills. There was a still sequence. I'm not sure if it was 3 the Hard Way or Superfly. But he was like really into the photography. Do you remember the sequence I'm talking about?
Yeah, that's in Superfly, and I think that is again back to to Curtis Mayfield. I think it's Pusher Man is being played as it stills of Priest. Well, so being a drug dealer.
Interesting as an artist and somebody that if he had lived, like I would have followed his career. I mean, I think a lot of filmmakers start off not that great but they can get better, and I think he's one who would have gotten better. I think he was mastering some things and he needed to learn how to really work with actors and how to really block his scenes better, and also to maybe just be a little harder on the script and like make sure that the script was ready and finessed before it came out. But there's so many facets to making a good film. And I think that as an artist, I think he would have continued and done better work. And so I think it's sad that he didn't get to make more films.
I invite you to check out a film that preceded Aaron Loves Angela. That is Thomasine and Bushrod.
That's the one I didn't see. I didn't like 3 the Hard Way. I just did not like that at all. I couldn't get into that.
Neither did I.
Okay, I didn't even finish it, so I don't know.
I like 3 the Hard Way. I like Jim Brown, Jim Kelly, and Fred Williamson saving us from racism in poison water supplies.
Which one was the martial artist?
Oh, that's Jim Kelly.
I loved him, and I loved his scene where he beat up all the policemen. Like that was.
Oh great. Yeah,
there were great things about it, but the white characters were just like cartoon character, like stock, like just like the dastardly villain, you know, mustache twirling. And I just felt like that was not, it cheapened the whole thing. It made it less fun for me, and I couldn't continue.
I just assumed the Ku Klux Klan was poisoning the water supply all throughout the 70s, trying to kill black people. It's like that in quicksand.
Preferred, like, rather than seeing two white guys like in lab coats that are like, you know, conspiring, I would have liked to have seen the Ku Klux Klan, like,
right.
Like where it starts with them and then it gets to those guys. But those guys, those little mousy looking men in lab coats, that that part was so silly. And other parts, like the scene where Jim Kelly beats up everybody, that I was like cheering. I was like, I love this movie. This is so fun. And then it went on and I was like, oh yeah, I can't do it.
Me neither. Sharon Eldridge says in regards to Aaron Loves Angela, I only watched 2 4-minute clips of the film, but the moment where Aaron writes Aaron likes Angela very much was really sweet and tickled me. And based on that, I liked the film. LOL.
That's fair. I like that too. That was kind of a motif throughout. Like, it progresses. That was very sweet.
It was. There was part of me though that didn't like when he finally writes Aaron Loves Angela. I didn't like that it was the way that it was weaponized.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
In his defense, she was out with her 40-year-old boyfriend. So,
well,
and how did they have? So they had to steal a porno magazine, but they could afford to go to that club and see Jose Feliciano live.
I don't get it.
Yeah,
that's the part where it's like, how old are these kids?
I was
and I don't know. Like, what did you think of the stealing the porno magazines?
Well, what did they steal the porno magazine? Yeah, or
I thought they were just agents of chaos.
Yeah, because
then everyone ran out.
No, Willie, I watched it 4 times. So he's there. Aaron is there looking at a display, and Willie is on the other side. And Willie has the magazine, and then Aaron knocks over the display, and Willie runs out with the magazine. And then the magazine shows up again at Ike's restaurant, and he's got the magazine on the table. So
okay,
they stole the magazine, and they created that character, that chaos, in order to steal the magazine.
To get the magazine.
I was watching those extras in that scene, and they were kind of interesting. they were very weird, and they were good. Like, they were really weird and strange.
Because I think they were real.
I was about to say, we need some guys who look like they would hang out in a porno magazine shop in 1975.
I believed those guys.
I think they went to a porno shop in 1975.
Just said, you guys stay here.
Just stay there. Don't mind us.
I don't want to know what they paid them with.
But that also was a little bit off for me, because Aaron seemed like he was basically trying to be a good kid. So he was going to basketball. Like, he didn't. I just wasn't sure why he would contribute to stealing. Maybe it's just the age, and it's
just the age. It's just the age. It's your best friend,
right? And they didn't take the cash register,
right?
Yeah,
you do it because you can. So you do it to see if you can. I stole stuff when I was a teenager, so I know. But it felt like it marred Aaron's character a little bit, but it was okay. It didn't ruin it for me, but I felt like they were building a different type of character. Like, he was basically a good kid. And there he just wasn't, which that's okay.
Yeah, but you know what? I liked that because he still was a good kid. But he was still very much a kid. But he also was a kid who was, because of his age, because of the life that he was living, and also because of his father, was having to reconcile with where he was going to be. I love the scene where he basically tells his dad that he's not going to be in the NBA. Like, it's not going to happen, Dad, unless I'm 8. I
love that scene too. That one of the later, like this scene towards the end, that was really moving, and it was that was one of the strongest scenes in my opinion, because both actors were at their best in
they were locked in.
Moses Gunn was good all throughout, but it was that was more realized from a directorial standpoint than some of the earlier scenes. I felt like that scene worked, and that was heartbreaking. And Kevin Hooks was strong in that scene. He wasn't strong in every scene. He was all over the place, but in that particular scene, I thought he was really good. And that particular scene also, the script worked. Like that. That was a good moment. Like all the elements worked, and that's what's sad about this film is there's a lot of good elements, and then there's times like when things don't work, and it's exciting when everything does work, and it's a little disappointing when things aren't that great, but I respect the director for trying.
Yes, most definitely. Sharon Eldridge also mentions that Robert Hooks helping Aaron when he got attacked was cool. Yes, Bowman to the rescue. I truly think I should see no more of this film, however, just so that I can keep liking it a little goes a long way.
There you go. Just watch those parts in a loop.
In the loop. To that, we asked the question that we always ask at this point, Tony. Would you recommend that people see Aaron Loves Angela?
I would, but I know that if I recommend this film to some friends, they'll be pissed off at me. But I still would recommend it because I feel like there's something of value to see New York at that time. Now there's a lot of other films, John Cassavetes films.
Oh yeah,
plenty of films in the 70s. But I like this one because there's black and brown people in it, and Jose Feliciano is in it, and
oh yeah, we didn't really like go in on the soundtrack, but the sound
great.
It is amazing.
Yeah,
I loved seeing him. I loved the opening song. You know, I watched the movie 3 times. It wasn't until the 4th viewing that I realized the opening song is actually talking about them.
Yes,
it's bringing you into the world, but I think that was a little overconfident because I'm a pretty close viewer. And if you really need the audience to focus and pay attention and listen, that didn't work because I love the song so much, but I was just dancing. I wasn't really paying attention to the words. And then when I finally listened to the words, I was like, oh, this is like scene 1 almost. This is like a prologue to the story. And maybe that's just me, but the music was so good, and I was just so into the sound that I didn't pay attention to what it was saying. And I would wager to say that probably a lot of people didn't pay that close attention to what the actual words were saying because we didn't realize we had to.
Right.
Opening credits, and so we're thinking, oh, the movie hasn't really started yet. This is just the opening credits. They're in like the train yard and whatever they're doing, but I feel like there's actually important information in the lyrics to that song. It's talking about the struggle between, you know, the 2 communities. I missed that 3 times.
Well, I think I did hear it a little bit. I don't think that the imagery that it's over really helps sell that message.
It doesn't
at all. Even though as evocative as it is, I'm not knocking the image. It is beautiful because you know that
the murals and stuff were like that for that reason. So I would recommend the film for Jose Feliciano and for those, you know, the art and some of the photography, and for Moses Gunn. I just think Moses Gunn was brilliant. I just loved him. What did you guys think of the Walt Frazier scene and what preceded that scene?
I thought it was really bizarre.
The whole thing.
The whole Walt Frazier and his car was there by the curb, and I want you to give my son some advice, and the advice was work hard. And then Walt Frazier is got the coat over him.
That's classic Walt Frazier.
I know, and then he gets in the car and drives away, and
it was fun to see him, but that's where a good director would have been helpful because his line read. I mean, maybe it would be hard and intimidating to direct Walt Frazier, but his line
right.
terrible. Just
Yeah.
so terrible.
Well, you got to remember, it's 75. Walt Frazier is definitely a big star. They're lucky to get him.
He's doing them a solid.
For all they know, he may not have even known he was in a movie. He was like,
this is what happens with Walt Frazier.
Just walks out, like he's ready to sign an autograph. Oh, I'm in a movie. Oh, yeah, work hard, kid.
Weirdly, so Kevin Hooks is always showing up.
Also, I think what hurts that scene is like there's too many things going on,
right?
Because there is, first of all, his father and his own delusionment about his relationship with Walt Frazier, that he is coming, being slapped in the face with reality with, that
Angela in the background.
Then Angela's in the background distracting his son so that you don't know whether or not his son is also being smacked in the face with his father's relationship with Walt Frazier, even though you're led to believe that his son kind of saw this coming.
Right.
He sees it when the security guard doesn't want to let him in. He already gets that his dad is kind of out there.
Maybe he overplayed his hand just a wee bit here. And then there's also just Walt Frazier just like I can give y'all 5 minutes. That's what I can give y'all, and then I'm gonna get can my car be in the movie too? All right, thank you. And then
it was fun. It was fun to see him, but then when he did his line reading, I was like, wow. Like, that was terrible. But I did appreciate that scene, and I appreciated Moses Gunn because a lesser actor, that could have just been a cliche. And I felt like Moses Gunn did some work on his character, and in that scene and in all the scenes, like where you felt the layers to that character. And even in that scene, like it was heartbreaking because nobody was recognizing, he had once been somebody.
Right.
And now he wasn't. And it, this was happening to him in front of his child. And there was just so much. So I thought I really appreciated that. And man, I was happy to see Moses Gunn because I haven't actually seen him in a lot of things, but I think that his performance is really powerful. It's like he probably couldn't give a bad performance because he's just really just sublime. He's just amazing.
The juxtaposition of all the different stories when you think about it, like you said, the father and his lost dreams from the gridiron and trying to pass that on to Aaron's just relationship with Angela's relationship with her disembodied mother, all of that, New York in the 70s, it lends a space. First of all, I would recommend that people see this film.
Okay.
Right. I don't know. I do think it's uneven. I don't like that Angela has zero to no agency in this film, despite Irene Cara's presence in it being a selling point. But so I'd recommend people see it. But I'd recommend it. How I often say that some films are like lost opportunities. I think this is a story in this exact same setting that is worth revisiting, but not as a film. I'd love to see this play out as a series, maybe a limited series where you can really dig into all of the characters there and really give them the full weight. Like you mentioned, Tony, her girlfriend, I like just like the first interplay that she has with Willie, where she's not really feeling him,
right?
But you get the sense that somewhere along the line he kind of wins her over a little bit.
She's intrigued.
She's intrigued,
right?
And you're wondering. He's funny,
and he has skills. He can pick a lock and
right. So there's a little bit of a depth to this guy.
He knows how the power works.
So you want to see that maybe how that plays out a little bit.
Yeah, I was going to bring up that I would like to have seen Willie and what he wanted in life, because his purpose in the film was basically just to play off Aaron and to make Aaron's scenes work, but we don't really know. What does he want to do after school? What is his home situation? What is he a good student? I didn't really all I know about him is what Aaron, his relationship to Aaron. I don't really know that much outside of that, other than he has a better sense of humor than Aaron.
Yes.
His sense of humor is more evolved, and he's funny, but I felt like that was a flaw in the script too, is that if you have a character and like all they're doing is like asking you, when are you gonna get it? When are you gonna get it, man? Like that was kind of,
yeah, it gets
a little bit. And he was like, he deserved better. He deserved more than that, I thought. But I would love your idea. I would watch that series.
Yeah.
So watch that.
You know, he deserves better also because I don't think that he rats out Aaron.
Well, he did tell them Grant's tomb.
And I don't think he does that. I think if anything, he tells them.
You shouldn't do that because he does do it in the film.
Okay, true, but he does do it.
You don't
in the
think
film.
that rang true?
I don't think that rang true. I think that character maybe said someplace else.
Right. I would
stop the beating.
Yeah, I was surprised.
Like, why wouldn't he? But they
needed
everybody to get to Grant's tomb because they had to shoot those chasing scenes from Grant's tomb.
Exactly.
So that's why he said Grant's tomb. That's that's on the script, I guess. But who knows? Like, I don't know what the development process of this script was. Like, if Gordon Parks Jr. like was directing the writing of this script, or if it was like a fully realized script, and then Gordon Parks Jr. just got it afterwards. Like, I don't know.
Right?
Like,
yeah, we don't. I wasn't able to find out any history. I just know that it's written by Gerald
Sanford.
Yeah.
White? Do you know?
That is a good question.
I couldn't find because I was actually trying to find more information about Gerald Sanford.
Pictures of the Gerald Sanford, and I think that he was, but I'll have to. And it doesn't matter. I mean, I thought that it didn't feel like an insulting script. Like it didn't feel like a white person's perspective insulted Black people. I thought, like, I believed that person of color who wrote it, and then when I was trying to research that writer, and I could find was pictures of somebody white.
Yeah, because the only Gerald. I don't know whether or not he's the same person, because there's a Gerald Sanford that wrote for like Star Trek
and for Knight Rider. Yeah. He is white.
Okay. Because when you think about it, it does kind of play like I could see this being from a white perspective, and then Gordon kind of juicing it up to make it feel a little bit more truer to the Black experience. Because one, I can see where the script thinks is an adaptation of Romeo and Juliet. It certainly doesn't land as a adaptation of Romeo and Juliet. No. Vincent, we haven't gotten to you. Would you recommend that people see Aaron Loves Angela?
I would for me, the reasons everyone has said. I think the depiction of the 70s New York is valuable. I think Kevin Hooks, I'm just a fan of Kevin Hooks. And I think you can see that raw talent here. I think he has a lot of charisma. Like, I think you're drawn to him. I think Irene Cara, it's nice if you kind of jump from this to Sparkle to Fame. You can see her kind of advance as an actor. And I like them. I like them in this. It does have its flaws. It absolutely has its flaws, but I think there's more to like than not. So I would recommend it.
I agree.
Yeah. Well, that's 3 for 3. 3 for 3 recommending that you see Aaron Loves Angela, ladies and gentlemen. And let's maybe start a writing campaign to get this made into a series.
Right? Yeah, I would like that. I would love to see that. But the thing is, like, that burnt out New York doesn't really exist anymore. I think
they'd have to use a green screen.
Okay, well that can work. Yeah, that's true.
They'll find ways.
I know. I mean, they've done other stuff that's supposed to be New York from another time, and they made that work.
Right. Very true.
They can build it. They can build it.
Very true. All right. Before we get out of here, Toni, prepare to be amazed, because the missionaries will not let us leave this live stream without giving them what they came here for, Vincent.
What? Oh.
And that is, of course, everyone's favorite game show.
Everyone's
6 Degrees of Dervell Martin.
That's the key. Why, you would be surprised what a person can do with just a sense of touch and a sense of sound.
6 Degrees of Dervell Martin, Tony.
Am I supposed to know who that is?
Well, I'll let you know. Dervell Martin is actually an actor.
Right, we're doing this.
He is an actor of some renown who somehow seems to be a linchpin through, if not all, a lot of 70s blaxploitation films.
Did you see Dolomite Is My Name, the Eddie Murphy film?
Yeah.
It's the character that Wesley Snipes plays.
Okay.
That's Dervell Martin.
Yes.
Okay.
And
I should know who that is. But
Right, he is an actor.
He is an actor that shows up in almost every blaxploitation film you speak of. Yet he also shows up in Guess Who's Coming to Dinner with Spencer Tracy and Sidney Poitier
And Rosemary's Baby.
Wow.
So he's a man that touches eras and touches every aspect of Hollywood. And our game show, Vincent, will attempt in 6 movies or less to get from Dervell Martin to an actor of my choice. And feel free to try and help him along the way, Tony. Okay? Or sit and be amazed as all of the missionaries and all of our past guests have been.
Yes, no pressure.
All right.
What we got?
We've got 2 for you, Vincent.
2.
All right.
All
so are you going to go with this? Or are you going to go with that?
I'm always going to go with this because this is where it's at.
We're going to start with this. And we're going to start with this is from last week. We didn't get to this one.
Okay.
Didn't get to this one last week. Vincent and
Leftover Dervell.
Leftover Dervell.
It's going to be the name of my punk rock group.
In 6 movies or less, gets from Dervell Martin.
Dervell Martin 2.
Hold on one second. Oh, that's the wrong one. Get from Dervell Martin to Paula Patton.
Paula Patton.
Okay. Actress Paula Patton.
Okay, Paula Patton. How do I want to get to Paula Patton is the question.
Very underrated actress.
Underrated. I feel like I can get to her a couple of ways.
We'll settle for one.
Oh, I know who I'll use because it was her birthday either today or yesterday. Dervell Martin is in Guess Who's Coming to Dinner with Sidney Poitier.
Mm-hmm.
Sidney Poitier is in Uptown Saturday Night with Richard Pryor.
Okay.
Richard Pryor is in Harlem Nights with Eddie Murphy.
Okay.
Eddie Murphy is in Dreamgirls with Loretta Devine.
Okay.
Who's in Jumping the Broom with Paula Patton.
Okay. All right. Okay. I got to check on Paul. I got to check on Jumping the Broom.
She plays Lance Alonso's mother.
Paula Patton?
No. Loretta Devine does.
Oh, I'm about to say
that'd be a weird film with Paula Patton.
That's weird casting.
Yeah.
I don't see that. She may be older. I don't think she's that much older. Okay, yeah,
Jumping the Broom was Sanaa Lathan, no?
Jumping the Broom. Paula Patton is in that film. You're absolutely correct. I don't show that Sanaa Lathan is in Jumping the Broom.
No, she and Lance Alonso are going to get married and hijinks ensue. Not really hijinks. It's actually a better film than you think it is.
Okay,
but
I've not seen the film.
You checked it?
I checked it. You're right.
Yeah, Loretta Devine plays she's
impressive.
Very impressive, Vincent.
There you go.
But now it's time for that.
And now it is time for that.
All right.
This has escalated.
Oh, it has.
Into that.
In 6 movies or less, get from
movies or less.
Dervell Martin
to to
Academy Award-winning actress Frances McDormand.
Frances McDormand.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's a good one. Okay. How am I gonna get to Frances McDormand? All right. I know how I'm going to get to her. I'm just putting together the pieces. Okay. Derville Martin is in Five on the Black Hand Side with Dick Anthony Williams, who's in Mo Better Blues with Denzel Washington, who's in Devil in a Blue Dress with Don Cheadle,
right?
Who's in Boogie Nights with William H. Macy, who's in Fargo with Frances McDormand.
Very good, Vince.
I was just thinking about Boogie Nights the other day. My daughter is a camp counselor, and she said a magician came, and whenever someone says something about a magician, I always think about Don Cheadle in Boogie Nights saying to the character who's going to be a magician, "It doesn't bother you consorting with the dark arts."
Yeah, I've never seen Boogie Nights.
Oh, Boogie Nights is good. It's fun.
How have you? All right, fine.
What do you mean? How have I never seen Boogie Nights? I've never seen it.
I just feel like someone else should be in charge of your TV sometimes.
Why?
Like the things that you watch when you could be watching other things.
What? I mean, I just haven't seen it. I'm not a huge Mark Wahlberg guy. So he doesn't,
he's one small part.
He's the lead in the movie.
Once you see it, you'll know that that's actually ironic.
Yes, I know.
He's
I do know that part. I know what the movie's
makes the
about.
film great.
And I kind of want to see it because I'm a Burt Reynolds fan, and that's the movie.
He's great in it.
That he was. I think he was nominated. He didn't win the Oscar.
Yeah, he's great in it.
But I don't know. I just haven't.
All right.
Sat down with it.
I haven't seen it in a long time, but I remember really liking that film, though. I think.
Yeah.
See,
John C. Reilly. John C. Reilly becomes a magician.
Have you guys been watching him on Winning Time?
Yes, I did.
I haven't watched the whole thing. I think I've seen 2 episodes, and he is really good.
He's excellent in that.
Yeah,
film. He's excellent in that
really
show.
Good.
Yeah, I that actually show won me over.
Me too. I like, but I've heard a lot of criticism from people who are actually there, but you don't know. It's great.
Right.
Exactly.
But say, don't tell Kareem you don't like it. I mean that you like it.
Yeah, or Jerry West.
Or Jerry West.
Like it. But a lot of people who were there, who were part of it, the real story, don't like it. But it was entertaining to me. I love that lead guy who plays Magic. He is a star.
Yeah.
He's
great.
And he actually 100% you buy him as Magic Johnson.
I do, and he's just so likable. He's talk about charismatic. He is just so charming. I mean, I hope that he goes on to do a lot of things. He's fun to watch.
Yeah, Quincy Isaiah is the actor's name.
Yeah.
It's great.
He's actually very good. And to be fair, so is the actor that they cast as Kareem as well. I think that
he is too. And the guy who plays Norm Nixon is really strong also.
Yeah.
Who is Devon Nixon?
I was about to say she's been studying Norm Nixon his entire life.
I know. He's a good actor though. He's also on Snowfall, and he's really good.
I you know what? I got to return to Snowfall. I got to return to Snowfall.
No, you don't.
Okay.
You can watch Boogie Nights.
But that actor is so good on it. I mean, there's a lot of really strong performances on Snowfall, so it do return to it.
Ashy Feet hits us up on YouTube to let us know, Vincent, you missed a connection because Denzel Washington and Frances McDormand are both in
God, they're
Macbeth.
both in Macbeth.
Oh, right.
I'm so busy. I'm so busy thinking about Boogie Nights and consorting with the dark arts. I didn't even remember Macbeth.
Yeah, which
I loved.
You love.
I adored. Yeah.
Loud in that. I still haven't watched it yet. All right. Well done, Vincent, as always.
Thank you, sir.
Good.
That's impressive that you can just do that. You do that every week?
Yeah, it's weird. I feel like I should get people to buy me drinks.
So you just have like an encyclopedic knowledge of films that allows you to do that?
Encyclopedic is a really strong word.
Okay. So you don't have that?
It's a lot of stuff up there.
Okay. Well, that's great. Do you teach film?
No, teach English. I use film. I do use film though.
Okay.
We actually just finished Raisin in the Sun.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well done.
Weren't there a few versions?
Oh, there's only one version that matters. Sidney Poitier and Diane Sands and Ruby Dee.
That's the verb.
That's the one.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, everything
that's
else
the one.
is whatever. Exactly. Unless you see a stage production. To be fair.
I have seen one. I saw Starletta Dupois, I think, in it. It might have been in the 90s or 80s even. And I think it was at the Roundabout. I was a reader when I was acting back in the day, and I was a reader for auditions.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that she's the person who ended up doing it. But yeah, it is great to see it on stage.
Alana Hyman says, hi, everyone. First time here. And
hey, Alana.
Also agrees that the original film adaptation of Raisin in the Sun is absolutely the only one that matters. So she's coming in with hot takes.
I said, hey, coming in hot.
Why do you guys say that? Did you see the one with Puffy?
You know what? It is so funny that you're saying that. They were actually playing it this weekend.
The one with Puffy?
With the one with Puffy on one of the stations. Okay. It was like on Clio, one of them. And I gritted my teeth the whole film. The decisions that they made, how they move away from the play, drove me insane.
Okay.
And Puffy's just not a good I mean, he's not an actor. It seems a little unfair.
Don't tell him that.
To pile on him for this.
Yeah.
But he was completely out of his depth. So, but
I thought he was better than I thought he was going to be. Though, I was expecting it to be terrible, but I didn't think he was terrible. But he's not. Yes, he's not an actor. But I thought that was interesting to try to do that. It was kind of like the way that James Franco was doing everything, getting a PhD and writing stories and all this. It was like Puff Daddy is gonna
right.
Stage and produce music and do everything.
Well, that's what I said. I said if you had the opportunity to do it, and we're not going to get into Raisin in the Sun weeds, it is something kind of meta about Puffy playing a character whose biggest dream is to be an entrepreneur. And that's his way into the American dream. And you have a black man who has succeeded beyond your wildest dreams playing this character. I did begrudgingly like the poetry of that.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point.
Yeah, but then they're doing stuff like showing Mama on her last day of work. And it's like, no, she's retired. That's the whole point. All right. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
All right.
Then they kept showing different sets. The point is the apartment is claustrophobic.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't keep blowing out the apartment and showing them in different places. Otherwise, him being frustrated. All right. That's it. But
I get what you're saying. I mean, that the apartment being claustrophobic lends itself to, this is why we need a house. This is why we want to buy a house and get
exactly.
Out of it. Yeah.
That's why he's just prowling around this place like a caged tiger. Mm-hmm. All right, that's it. Go ahead.
Okay.
I thought I was good. I didn't go into Macbeth.
True.
So go ahead.
But Tony gave you those breadcrumbs.
I
and you
know.
Ate them up.
It doesn't take much.
Sorry, it's my fault.
No, it's fine. It's absolutely fine.
I don't know the rules. I haven't been here before, so I should just.
Well, we hope that you enjoyed yourself, because we would love to have you return.
Yes.
I did. Oh yeah, and we didn't bring up Superfly, the return of Superfly.
Oh, well, we haven't reviewed it yet, so.
Oh no, I don't want to review that.
Like the return of
I mean, you spared 3 the hard way, but we could do Return of Superfly next time.
No, I just told you about it because I'm in it, and so is Sam Jackson's in it. Like everybody who was in New York in the mid '80s is in that film.
Oh wait,
Sam Jackson's in it. Tico Wells is in it. Luis Ramos is in it. There's so many actors. Like there's so many of us. Like it was the summer, I think, of '86, and if you were in New York and you weren't working, like you were in that movie. There's like everybody's in it.
Oh my God, you're selling it. You're actually selling it.
You know what?
Yeah, but they wouldn't tell. I don't think anybody else would admit to it.
Oh, well, you just did.
I didn't know Samuel Jackson was in the Return of Superfly.
The guy who produced Superfly, Sig Shore, directed the Return of Superfly.
Well, there you go. There you go. Well, first of all, Samuel Jackson was in everything in the '80s. We've learned that.
Yeah, this was long before he was a star. Like,
right? Yeah,
needed a check.
he would just show up and stuff. Like, you know, I swear he's in the background of the animated Robin Hood. He's in everything. Boy. But like, quiet as kept. Toni Ann Johnson has already booked herself.
No, I'm not reviewing that film.
Yes, you are.
I think you kind of buried the lead. Like Ruby Bridges is very impressive, and your book is coming out. You didn't mention you were in The Return of Superfly.
No, I'm in Ruby Bridges too.
Okay.
I did mention it. I emailed you guys.
Oh, no, she did.
I was about to say, I didn't do my. I didn't.
No, she mentioned it. She mentioned it.
No, I did only because Gordon Parks Jr. directed Superfly, and I was like, oh, that's a connection. But the scene, like, I have 2 scenes, and I can only remember one of them. But in the one scene that I have, my partner vomits in the toilet, and so the scene starts with like. Bleh! And then I have a line, and I have that on my reel because I heard like it was just on my acting reel. So thank God I could write, because when when I made the reel, I didn't think about it, and then when I looked at it years later, I was like, oh my God.
Toni Ann Johnson.
Oh God. Oh God. Okay. Let's see if we can talk Toni into this. So, Toni, in May, we devote the entire month of May to, it's called Mother May I Have Another. It's devoted to Black films, which, to be fair, on the surface, don't seem like they're going to be a good film, right? It usually plays out that they're not, but to be fair, we don't know, right? Would you do us the honor of returning in May? So you've got plenty of time to build it up. Return in May to review The Return of Superfly with us. We promise to get you in on any other film that you want in between. Then, choose a film. But in May, will you return to review The Return of Superfly?
Let me think about that.
I'll take that.
Okay. All right. We've got a definite maybe.
Because I would just be making fun of it, and I don't like to bash. Well, Sig Shore's dead, so I guess he won't care.
You never know. See, I've never seen it. So I'm not going to say I'm going to be making fun of it.
I might not.
And trust me, in the May, we have reviewed some films where we be like, this is actually not as bad as.
Back in the 90s, I lived in New York, and there was a video store like right near where I lived, and I went in and I wanted to get the film because I hadn't seen it, and a child made she was like, "You want to see what?" Like this little girl, she was like 11. She looked at her parents and she's like, "Oh, that film is terrible. You don't want to see that."
Mommy, look at what that lady's getting.
So it's been a source of humiliation over the years.
Just walk away from the lady. Come here, baby. Come here, baby.
Well, you said you'll think about it, so we'll take that.
There's one film that I saw recently that I just have to ask you, like, what you guys think, and it's the I think it's called A Long Hot Summer with Paul Newman and Joanne Woodward and what's his name? Citizen Kane. Orson Welles is in it also. Have you guys seen that?
Oh, you know what? I haven't seen that, but I think it is actually streaming on like TCM.
It is available on something because I recently watched it and it was somewhere you could stream it.
Yeah, because they were doing like they do like August with the Stars, and one day was Orson Welles movies. Okay, and I think that was there, and I was like, oh, that's an Orson Welles movie that I haven't.
This movie is so good. Martin Ritt directed it, and it
sounds good right there.
That come out of the Actors Studio.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the greatest film, like from a Black perspective. There are just the only Black characters are like servants and people, but it's not, it's not like Gone with the Wind. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not. It doesn't make the Black people look bad, but it's just that time. So it's not great for that. But man, I watched this film and it was like one of the best things I've ever seen. The acting was the script was so good. It's so like I couldn't believe how good it is. I posted on Facebook the next day. Like I never really talked, but the script was so witty and fun and so much subtext, and it's beautiful. And Paul Newman is young and hot, and Joanne Woodward is young, and there's all this sexual tension, and it's just it's a brilliant film, except there are parts where you can't understand what the hell Orson Welles is saying.
Well, that's Orson Welles.
Yeah.
And I did some research, and people thought at the time that he did it on purpose, that he was making fun of actors from the Actors Studio, that he purposely was like, Mom. And so I'm watching the film. I was like, what did he say? I was like, put on the closed captioning because I had no idea. But it's still a great film. So I highly recommend that.
Okay.
It's not appropriate for this show. It's not a Black movie, but it's a good movie.
Oh, I definitely want to check it out. I don't know if Vincent will watch it because it's from 1958, so that makes it clear. I
mean, that's definitely a segregation film.
Yeah.
So if my father went to see that, he would have had to sit in the balcony.
Yeah.
So I think that counts.
So would you?
I mean,
watch it?
I like the cast.
Okay.
So,
yeah, I wonder. I guess so, but I know that Paul Newman and Joanne Woodward were not racist, and
they weren't racist.
Yeah,
very progressive. All right, we're going to go check that out. Long Hot Summer.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
all right.
I can't wait to check it out.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Toni. Yes. We really appreciate it. We're going to sign off on the show now. You can feel free to stay there if you like, or we'll let you go. So
you mentioned posting on Facebook. So what are your socials if people want to reach out and get in touch?
Yeah. Well, my public socials are Instagram and Twitter, but I'm not really on Twitter, more Instagram. I have a lot of stories on Instagram. So I started posting real life stories and my real family pictures on Instagram in preparation for my book. So I have a lot of like family stories and pictures on Instagram. I am on Facebook, but I haven't really put up my author page yet. It's one of my tasks. I need to do that like immediately, but I haven't done it yet. I just have a personal Facebook.
Okay.
That's cool. It's cool. Toni Ann. She does have a website, ToniAnnJohnson.com. Yeah. TONIANNJOHNSON. And her book, Light Skin Gone to Waste. It comes out in October, but you can pre-order it now on everywhere, online bookstores everywhere. Light Skin Gone to Waste, new book by author Toni Ann Johnson, new friend of the Micheaux Mission, and soon to return by my demand. Okay.
Thank you for asking me. I appreciate it.
And thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it as well. And take care and enjoy the rest of your evening.
You too. Thanks again. Bye.
Mm-hmm. Bye.
Bye-bye. All right, ladies and gentlemen, before we get out of here, we invite you to Follow the Micheaux Mission, 2 Men, 1 podcast. Every black film ever made. Go to micheauxmission.com where you can hit swag to check out all the cool designs and gifts that we have available to you by way of our good friends at TeePublic. If you want to email us, you can email us at micheauxmission@gmail.com. That's MICHEAUXMISSION@gmail.com. Leave us a voicemail at 215-867-9666 and tell Vincent and Len what is on your mind. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Micheaux Mission. Subscribe to YouTube and Twitch at Micheaux Mission. And wherever you check out our podcast, please give us a 5-star rating and a review, especially if it's on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. That really helps people find our show. I cannot express how much if you we don't want you to buy anything from TeePublic if you can't afford it and it's going to give you any type of financial hardship. But if you really want to help us, I cannot express how much just giving us a 5-star rating and even more a review on either Spotify or Apple Podcasts does to help raise us in their algorithms, gets us even more exposure on those directories. So we really appreciate all you can do. We've been sitting at, I think we're at something like 49, ratings on Spotify and just under 175 on reviews on Apple Podcasts. Would love to get those up to 100 and 200, before the end of the year. So tell a friend. If you've already given us a review, tell a friend to do it, to check us out and share the show. We really, really do appreciate that. All right. And the Micheaux Mission is a proud member of The Podglomerate, thepodglomerate.com. They make podcasts work. Next week here on the Micheaux Mission, we are continuing our look into the magical movie year of 1975, and boy, we pulled out arguably saving the best for last.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
From 1975, Lawrence Hilton Jacob and Glenn Turman in Cooley High.
Cooley High. How do I see you get sad every time you hear
it? Immediately. That's next week here on the Micheaux Mission. Until then, ladies and gentlemen, he's Vince, I'm Len, and in parting we say,
we'll see you when it's time to meet again.